not part of our vision plan. We can take them one at a time. The cruise ship business is a very important business for the Port of Tampa. We have great relations with them. We're working on Channelside Bay Plaza with them. But this is a big revenue generator for the port, a big revenue generator for, a profit generator for their business. We want to embrace them and have them do well with that. And we're actually talking about ways of partnering with them because that's very important, and the port is our partners. And as far as baseball is concerned, categorically, it must stay in this region. It's a major community asset. When I'm going to recruit a corporate headquarters, we need to have 3 major professional sports teams. That's a major part of the culture of this community, and major cities have that. So where it's going to be and how it's going to end up, I don't know, and I'm not interfering with the Rays business, but we got to keep baseball here one way or the other.
Great. Yes, sir.
Can I have a question for Gordon? In the current epidemic of wrong-way drivers, can you tell us what the latest research and development is to try to hedge that some in our community?
Yeah, is it on? Yes. It's going to start with less alcohol for drivers. It's actually, if you think about it, it's very hard to turn the wrong way if you're sober on most of our roads. But they are experimenting with some systems that can detect that driver and start taking these message boards and alerting traffic, and also give you alerts to your phones or your GPS system that that's going on, so that you can be prepared for that.
Great. Yes, sir, right here.
Hi, you've all had a lot of success in Tampa and out of Tampa. As people who have a more national, global perspective, do you see our future to be more of a regional future? And if so, how can we behave? What would you do to have us behave more regionally to get a headquarters like Mercedes to relocate?
Ladies first.
Sorry.
As we move forward, can you hear me? As we move forward, I don't see this as a regional play. I see us more looking outward and not being so insular. One of the things I can say that we need to do as a community to attract more and grow our base is to work on the school systems. It is very difficult to attract senior talent when one of the first things that comes up is the school systems. And having grown a company from 3 employees to 500 in the course of 18 months, we had a lot of need to bring in talent. And our business was not, most of our business was not in the state of Florida. We could not, at the time, attract the talent because of the school systems and had to co-locate a headquarters in Washington, D.C. because of it. I think that's one of the things that we really need to tackle so that we can fulfill the potential that we have here.
Yeah, I'm amazed. I moved here a little over 20 years ago from Atlanta, and I was told that the bay was only 7 or 8 miles wide. And of course, if we live here, we know it's about 50 miles wide. You would think that in 20 years we would have made more progress in terms of viewing issues from a regional perspective. But as we go through the various issues, I still think our biggest challenge is finding unity and voice between the 3 major metropolitan areas here. And I think until we get that, do that better, we're gonna have some sticking points in regional initiatives.
Since the Atlanta Flames are no longer in Atlanta, we hope that we have regional fans and the Lightning spreads out to various areas. Frankly, as we know, we compete with some of these areas in the southeastern United States. Raleigh-Durham has done a real good job with their research triangle. Nashville has done a very good job. Atlanta. We definitely compete with them, and if the Tampa Bay region, and I echo those comments that my 2 panelists have said, if the Tampa Bay region and Orlando, you think of that kind of a regional strength, and maybe someday there is something connecting us, a high-speed something or other connecting us. If we can work together with them, not only, again, in our little area here, but with them and the high tech they have and the medical they have, I think that would make us a much stronger even competitor to other regions.
Great. Yes, Brenda.
Hi. Can I you said maybe you should sleep 6 hours or do something different than work for 6 hours. And Charlotte, you talked about your son, and you talked about the difference leaving corporate America to now. Without going back to the 1950s and having parents or particularly fathers who we never saw possibly, how do we work and get people who are in corporate America to become more entrepreneurial and recognize that value of hard work that it takes to do it, but how much fun there is on the other side? And how do we get that to the younger people, particularly a lot in this room, that kind of come out and go, well, you know, I want all of those things. I want the nice house, I want the car, I want all that, but I only want to work 30 hours a week. How do you guys deal with that?
I'll go first this time. Modeling, just like with your kids, modeling good behavior, I think. That's one way. And the second way is we all learn from our failures along the way, and those who aren't putting the effort forth will learn that they're not getting that house, et cetera, so quickly. But by the way, they're moving back to the urban core, so they just want to rent an apartment. They don't even want a house in the suburbs. And they'll learn the hard way, and it's like the markets. They'll figure it out as they go. And I have a portfolio of kids, 4 kids. My oldest works really hard. My second one's really fun to hang out with.
I got a friend for him.
We'll figure it out.
You know, I tell my daughter about that. I divide it into 2 camps. I tell her that, you know, God gives us most of our intellect. Some of it's genetic, but God gives us most of our intellect. And if that's the only way we compete, then we lose if you're not the smartest. But you can compete by working hard without that intellect. So to me, the message is, for those who are trying to get there, is that if you want to compete by intellect only, then you can win. You can win that way if you're on top. But putting in the hours is the necessary criteria to win in the competitive environment, and it is modeling. I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And when I hear some of our younger people saying they want it all and they want it now, my response to that is people in hell want ice water. And, you know, I think, I mean, I really think that never has there been a better time in America for young people graduating from college to excel beyond their wildest dreams. Because if you look across the playing field of the competition, it doesn't take much to stand out and shine with a work ethic.
Great. Yes, sir, right here.
So compared to the other professional sports in America, how committed is the NHL to seeing their teams stay put in the community for generations? I know this is maybe not the right question at the right time, but when you talk to the commissioner, did he say, promise me you'll never move the team for half a century? I know it's not possible, but what's their opinion on teams moving? I had a lot of friends and family in Minnesota when the Red Stars moved to Dallas. I remember the community was like shell-shocked.
Yeah.
They were just like devastated when the Stars moved away. It was such a part of the heritage in Minnesota going back to the 60s and 70s when they left Dallas.
The league and the owners in the league, they never want any franchise to move. Conditions change, situations change. In the early 1990s, when the Canadian dollar was very low, even lower than it is now, there were several Canadian franchises that had financial challenges, and a couple of them had to move. The last 10 years, there have been some non-traditional markets in the U.S. who have had their challenges, and as I said, Atlanta had to move. So conditions do change, things do happen financially. The NHL works very hard with owners who are struggling financially. You know, the fact of the matter is that sports franchise values in general have appreciated a lot over time. There's no guarantee they will continue to, even though there's a belief they are. Media has driven that to a good extent, and I don't know if we're getting to the end of that media-driven increase in franchise values. Sometimes you hear about the big profile teams like the LA Dodgers and all, where the valuations have increased so much, but that's not necessarily true of all the teams. And you know, the operating model of running a franchise, even for the best markets, it's hard to make money. And it varies by sport, but It's expensive to run these teams, it's expensive to run a facility, and players get between 50 and 60% of total revenue, which in the NHL it's 50, which I think is a very fair amount. So unfortunately, there are periods of time where teams have weaknesses. It's a cyclical business, and they occasionally get into financial trouble. The league does everything they can, or financial challenges, to keep them in those locations. We don't want to move franchises. In fact, we're considering adding one in Las Vegas, depending on how a season ticket drive goes there. Everything in our power to keep franchises. I can tell you, I didn't move myself, my job, my family, my reputation down here and start all this real estate to move the Tampa Bay Lightning, clearly. What I came down here for, if that was my goal, I'm pretty bad at executing it. What I came down here for was to make the Tampa Bay Lightning to the NHL what the Green Bay Packers are to the NFL. And we're only 22 years in, but 30 years from now, we'll be 52 years in, and we'll have kids who have now grown up with the hockey and their kids too. So we love this community, we love this team, and want to make it, just part of the fabric of this region. Just because it's warm weather out doesn't mean hockey isn't a great sport and can't connect with people.
Thanks. Yes, sir?
Question for Jeff. Morning, sir. In the spirit of what's to come for Tampa and thinking globally but acting locally, are we doing the things that are part and parcel to your crowdsourcing, such as a direct flight to SFO, which are really cool social indicators and economic indicators where people like myself that just moved from DC to say, hey, Tampa is a world-class destination for the break model or the media model. So are we thinking macro, but also bringing all the other things that are important, like direct flight to SFO, which is just not a miss?
I believe so. I think we've got strong leadership in this area. Joe Lopano at the airport. We've added flights to Germany. We've added flights to Switzerland, to Panama, to Seattle, and someplace else in South America. And I'm sure he's working his butt off, again, hard work, to try to secure a direct flight to San Francisco. The mayor, the development that's going on around here. This area got too dependent on construction, as did much of Florida. And it's not just home builders, it's craftsmen, and which there's a shortage of now, and it's legal profession, et cetera, the support services. So this local economy, and Florida to an extent, is working out of its over-reliance on the construction industry, and it's a bit working out of its over-reliance on low-paying, service-oriented jobs in this community. It's not going to happen overnight. It's what the political leadership is doing. It's hopefully what we're doing. It's what these people are doing. It's everybody in this community blocking and tackling, executing day after day, and then over a series of many years, we'll find that locations will be coming to us for direct flights.
Yes, sir, right here.
Question for Jeff. As you're recruiting companies to the area, how difficult has it been, or has it been a major issue, the lack of public transportation in the area, connectivity to the area? Has that been a major deterrent where companies are saying, hey, we'd love to, but we're going to go here because they have a better public transportation?
Good question. Yes, it is an issue. We know with our own employees at the Lightning that they want, if they're living outside, they don't want to drive to work. Young people do want to take mass transportation. It's a fact. The EDC did a study, Economic Development Corp in Hillsborough did a study a couple of months ago, and they went out to, I believe, 350 companies around the country, and their number one concern about this area was lack of mass transportation.
We've got time for one more question.
This is
Yes.
for Mr. Johnson. The last sign I saw that really troubled me on the highway was I-4 heading west at night, and it says wrong way driver ahead. Well, what do I do? So my question is...
Turn around.
And that's assuming it was somebody heading at me and not on the other side of the roadway. That was another problem. So is there a way of having more than one message at a time?
Well, yeah, the messaging is evolving. And again, we're going from those very simple messages. Ultimately, you're going to see a much more robust information system. The real technology is going to come to you through your personal devices. And so the objective is to get this so that you get alerts from either your car, if it's in your car system, or your phone that's telling you something that's closer to you. The system can track where that wrong-way driver is. It simply doesn't know where you are. So the technology now in your car tells you where you are versus that wrong-way driver, and the objective is to tell you that it's a mile in front of you or it's 20 miles in front of you, so that you can do something with that information. That's a great example of that.